Welcome, class. I'm going to share with you a little introduction to geometry and just how we do it in our classroom. Geometry is the study of shapes in space, the study of measurement on Earth here, and it's real important when we're doing our geometry that we are being careful and following a couple important rules so that our work is beautiful but also easy to understand. Geometry, it's a little different than math in some ways. In other kinds of math, you'll notice you're able to solve a problem without even necessarily being real careful about how you write the problem. For example, can you solve this math problem? You might have said that equals 2, because I can read, even though it's sloppy and hard to read, that 1 plus 1 equals 2. So you see, when I'm doing some math, it doesn't exactly matter how I write it, although it is important to write carefully and to use your best handwriting so other people can understand it, but that's not always the case, right? I mean, it's not always important. Maybe you're doing kind of fast math because you have to solve something quick. It's not so important that you do your very best handwriting because it's not always the most important thing. But in geometry, it is, because in geometry, we are drawing. In geometry, it's really the shapes that we draw that show our work. For example, if I don't draw very carefully, I don't actually produce a geometric shape. If I was trying to draw a rectangle here, well, this is not a rectangle because the definition of a rectangle is 4 straight sides. This is not a rectangle. It's not the same as 1 plus 1 equals 2 because the meaning of rectangle is in the shape that I draw. And so it's important that I use my best work. And so I'm going to use some specific geometry tools to draw these shapes so that I end up with exactly the shape that I mean to draw. So, well, that's not a rectangle, is it? Now, if I want to draw a rectangle, I have to use some real specific tools to get an actual rectangle. So now geometry is used to produce all kinds of beautiful things. It's used to produce the buildings in our cities. It's used to produce the bridges that we drive across. It's used to produce all kinds of things. It's used to produce the airplane, maybe that that you see in the sky. So it's important, as you can tell, all of these things are amazing feats of engineering. They're also things that require somebody to be really precise and careful and thoughtful in how they build it, because these structures and these vehicles and even the designs and the clothes that we wear, they're important. We use them every day, and we want them to be designed well. So how do we design those things well? You've seen this drawing here of this bridge. You've noticed somebody used some geometry tools to draw some real straight lines and even a long curved line. Somebody used a geometry tool to draw that line as well, because somebody's going to come along and look at these drawings and build this structure. Here we have an example of, here's a blueprint for the Chrysler Building. You see somebody drew these awesome lines, these awesome shapes to tell the construction workers and the contractors how to build this building so they could build it just right, just the way that architect intended it. If we don't design our geometry with geometry tools, we can have disasters, like our bridge might collapse or our building or house might fall over. So it's important that we use geometry tools. One of them is the ruler. The ruler, or straight edge, is just a way of drawing straight lines, measuring how long they are. Another one is the compass. The compass is used for drawing circles and curved lines. And another geometry tool is the protractor. That's used for measuring angles for our triangles, or identifying shapes based on how big their angles are. So when you're doing your geometry work, be sure be sure to use these geometry tools to be real careful about how you're drawing, and also, especially most importantly, to add your artistic touch, your personality, and make your work beautiful. Lots of color, lots of details with your geometry tools, but also when you're done with these tools, to fill it in with your personality and your special touch. I hope you have some fun with geometry this year. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to learn a lot. So looking forward to going on this geometry adventure with you.